What's bothersome to me in my adulthood is how many people knew.
Oh, okay.
And I think that there were people that tried to intervene,
Yeah.
right? But then where was the help?
Right.
And I think it's hard for some children because if you're not being beaten,
Right.
you fall kind of low on the severity scale. But I
Right.
think that we underestimate the impact of complex ongoing trauma and what
Right.
that does to a person.
Right.
Um, I remember going to school. So this was after my mother attempted suicide. I went to school and I cried. And I told the teacher that my mom was in the hospital and I wasn't allowed to see her. I think that that tipped them off because
Okay.
she was in a psych ward and I was under 18.
Okay.
But I look back and I know the neighbors knew,
Yeah.
right? People knew what was happening to me. And I
Right.
think some people tried to intervene, but at the same time, the bystander effect is real. And it's
Right.
like people think, well, I'm not going to say anything because somebody else will say something. Somebody else will help her.
Yeah.
Somebody else will step in, and then nobody does. And it was difficult because from the outside looking in, I had it all. I
Mhm.
danced for 13 years. I rode horses. I did pageants. I played
Okay.
guitar, right? So my grandparents tried really, really hard. They
Right.
were trying to, especially my grandmother. My grandmother basically raised me, and she tried really, really hard to make up for what I was lacking.
Right.
And she thought that, those were the right things. And unfortunately, the state had told them when my mom tried to kill herself, you can take custody of Kelsey, but Tracy can't live here. You can't have both. So
Wow.
either Kelsey goes into foster care or Tracy leaves. And then my grandparents lied to the state.
Oh, okay. And said
So
that she
they,
wasn't gonna live there?
and
Okay.
then my mom just kept living there. So even when they had custody of me and I should have been the priority, I really wasn't the priority.
Right.
So then that kind of goes back into what I was saying. I had everything I ever wanted, but I didn't really have what I needed because I wasn't safe. Like, yes, I had a roof over my head,
Right.
I had clothes, right? I was fed. They
Yes.
weren't beating me. Well, sometimes my mother hit me, right, when
Right.
she would have an episode.
Right.
But I was terrified. They terrorized me. And I realize now looking back that I was raised in abuse. I was raised in a
Right.
cycle of abuse.
Right.
And so I had it all from the outside looking in. And so
Mhm.
because of that, people said I was spoiled. Kelsey's a brat.
Oh
Kelsey's
my
ungrateful. And they're not seeing the reality and the totality of what it is that I was living in every single day of my life. And so they really tried